Hello, this is Molly Presley, your host of Data Unchained. It's a podcast about putting data to work to make your decentralized businesses more effective and really putting data to work to improve both the human condition as well as to accelerate innovation and time to results in business. I'm really excited to have my guest today, Eyal Waldman. Many of you will be very familiar with him, well known for his time spent with Mellanox Technologies. But Eyal, first, welcome, and maybe tell us just a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing the past few years.
Hey, thank you, Molly, and it's great being here on the podcast with you. So, in the past, I've was the co-founder of Galileo technology, which eventually was sold to Marvell for $2.7 billion in 2000. And then started the Mellanox Technologies, which eventually was sold to NVIDIA for over $7 billion. So mainly I was in semiconductors, focusing on data centers, applications, cloud, the hyperscale companies, supercomputing, have to do a lot with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and we've built all of the infrastructure around the world in all the continents to enable to utilize and process data, manipulate and process data all over the place.
So since you've left your full-time job at Mellanox, what have you been up to the last couple of years?
So first, I've been trying to enjoy myself after 21 years of being a CEO, and I think the past 14 years or so of a public company. But then I'm involved in investing in startup venture capitals, and very diversified portfolio of private equity, real estate, private debt, and many more things. I'm managing my family estate.
Excellent. I know I've seen a few pictures of you out on the water doing some fun activities and sport as well. So it's great. So let's jump into what Data Unchained is about. So you and I were talking a bit ahead of time about this podcast and the importance of data. Kind of how do you see the value of data in day-to-day life and also in business?
So basically, data is in the center of our life. We depend on data. Data is what creates us intelligence, what enables us to do things around us, and it's growing exponentially, as everybody knows. So the more we use data, the smarter we get, the more efficient we get, and we can do more things once we understand what we can do with the data. With today, I think we're using a small percentage of the data that's out there because it's not all accessible. It's too large, and the more we process it, the more we know. So it's a very data-centric world. And as we get along more into the future, it'll even be more data-centric world because the data equivalent to power. The more data you have, the more intelligent you are, the more powerful you can be. And that goes into all aspects of life.
So you think about your experience back in the backbones of some of the cloud infrastructures, the supercomputing that has done a lot of the work to create data. Is the value of data that was created years ago being really realized, or do you feel like there's a lot of unharnessed power in that area as well?
Yeah, it really depends on the organization and the application. But I think most applications are trying to use as much data as they can. And they're trying to access as much data to become more intelligent and to make more sense to their users. Just look at, autonomous driving, which is not there yet because we don't process data fast enough and we don't make all the decisions we want to make fast enough. But also look at health science, financial decisions, and so on. So the more data is involved, the more correct or the more or less mistakes you make when you make those decisions. Having said that, there's a lot of data out there that is not being utilized today and may be utilized in the future, which will enable us to do more things faster, better, and smarter.
So you're talking about a lot of data being created in distributed areas, at the edge, on sensors, whatever term you want to use for it. I think back to where I originally met you when you were really embedded in InfiniBand and some of those technologies that made data access locally very, very fast. Is there an analog to that in this distributed data world?
Yeah, but basically what you want is to have the data reside as close to where it is utilized, to the servers that utilize it, to the users that utilize it. So if you can either transition data or make it, domestic in multiple locations or reside in multiple locations, the utilization of the data will be more efficient. So if there's a way to distribute data into multiple clouds, into multiple data centers where the multi-users utilize this data, obviously it'll be more convenient, more efficient, and higher utilized in order to use it for more various applications.
And do you feel like the cloud has largely solved this problem? It's just more about data sharing between clouds, or is there more to it than that?
Cloud has done a lot of progress, and I've seen, at Mellanox now at NVIDIA, we're selling a lot to cloud customers, to hyperscale Web 2, soon Web 3 customers. So they've done a great achievements and progress in utilizing data. I think we now need to go to the next step where we decentralized, we distribute where data is located, and actually it's transparent to the users where data resides, where it's located, and it's not centralized in one cloud. It can be shared by multiple cloud vendors, and then you can really be free to utilize the data wherever you are, closer to whatever cloud or data center you are, and the application resides in. So this is, I think, where Hammerspace comes in, and it may take the cloud utilization or the data utilization to the next level of decentralization of where data resides.
So you mentioned Hammerspace. Which other companies are you keeping an eye on that will help to maybe continue the progression, as you say, instead of just solve the problem? But which technologies do you think are the next big ones to achieve this?
Yeah, so in terms of close to the data center, I'm involved in Plyops, which is a storage-related startup in Israel that solves data storage processing, makes it much faster, much efficient. I'm also involved in Speed Data, which has to do with data processing. I'm not sure how much they've revealed out there, but there's many more companies that are focused on data center efficiency and utilization of using data in the data center and outside of the data, so just to make it more efficient and become much more useful.
How close are we on security? I was talking to, in the previous episode, a gentleman named Ari Berman, who's the CEO of a company called BioTeam, and they were talking about, through COVID research, but sharing patient data across different countries in Africa, that there's definitely a desire, but they haven't worked out the geopolitical part of it. Who should have which access across which countries? Are there major security concerns? I mean, this is something we all read about in the news a fair bit. What are your thoughts there?
Right. Well, coincidentally, I'm sitting now in the Checkpoint headquarters in California. So security is very important, very significant. You see a lot of cyber security companies pop up. Data security is a significant effort around the world. Again, data equals to power, data equals to proprietary information, and you must protect the data. There are multiple ways of protecting data. We're seeing a lot of cyber companies doing that. We're seeing even hardware, silicon companies focus on data security. So there's a lot of action in terms of protecting data in many, many ways.
I think that, that one of the other things that comes up fairly regularly is things like standards. There's a lot of innovation coming out of smaller companies right now, newer companies, as well as really established ones. Do you think standards are a big piece of this, or do we just need to innovate and, get that into the hands of the users?
It's actually a combination. I think standards really take us to the next step and enable collaboration between multiple companies and multiple entities as they progress into the next step of protecting data. But then you also have proprietary technologies to protect data, which gives you sometimes an edge. So it's a step by step. Sometimes you go into standards, sometimes you do proprietary stuff, but you need to make progress in order to protect the data where it resides.
This is such an interesting topic. I think as we tie up, are there any companies that you see right now, and the companies who have really done a good job in embracing these new technologies, putting data to work for them? Not really the vendors, but the customers who are really innovating in this area. Who are you watching right now that you're impressed by?
There's a lot of companies that I think are in this group, but definitely Hammerspace stands out in terms of the feature set and the capabilities it brings to users in the file level utilization of data, and enables you to unleash the centralization or decentralization of data around multiple cloud entities and around the world.
Well, Eyal, I know you're a very busy man. Sounds like you're on the road traveling from home right now. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. It's always fun to watch what you're up to and the different technologies that you're involved with too. It always makes me perk up and pay attention when I know you're involved with the company. So really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and a lot of good luck.
Thanks for listening to Data Unchained, powered by Hammerspace. To learn more, visit hammerspace.com. If you have a guest you would like to hear on the show, email me at molly@hammerspace.com.